Okay.
Hello, and welcome everyone to another episode of Comet Tales. If you're new to our adventures, I'm your host, Oliver Oswald. It's been a minute, so I wanted to thank you all for supporting the charity streams we had last month. We are working on ensuring all of your rewards will follow through into Comet Tales and elsewhere properly. I haven't been streaming personally because of an extremely strict schedule I've been having, but I wouldn't want to miss Comet Tales for the world. And I'd love to introduce our amazing players. Let's start with Maris Aram playing his character, Valentine Vonderheist.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Maris. I am ordinarily a Celestial Dragon VTuber. I specialize in storytime, reading ASMR streams, where we talk all things books and literature. I also run my own homebrew D&D campaign every other Wednesday on my channel, called The Trial of Hearts. It's an ode to all things fantasy and romance, so if you are down for some shenanigans and romance and intrigue, definitely check it out. But while I am here, I play Valentine Vonderheist, the ever posh, ever lovely, definitely no crippling self-doubt, gunslinger, and it's a great time.
It's an absolutely wonderful time having you. Up next, we have Lily Faywood playing her character, Lyra.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lily. I am not a VTuber myself, not anymore at the very least, but I am an aspiring artist and D&D aficionado. So I draw a lot of things both from my personal D&D campaign as well as just other campaigns, including this one. Specifically, most recently, I drew the kiss between Lyra and Ashala that happened a few sessions ago, which made me very happy. But as for my own D&D campaign, I run a campaign called Mistwalker Spectrum of Eternity. It is a spiritual successor, I suppose, slash reset slash something of a previously run campaign by Elytra the Bronze, similar to this one here. And just very excited to be running that. There's 4 episodes on my YouTube channel right now. And we are recording session 5 immediately after this session of Comet Tales. After
Immediately after.
as for my character, I play Lyra, who is a Lamia astrologian. Some nice homebrew. But she is a adorable little snake lady that is very much trying to figure out uh, how to handle the vicious amount of pressure there is on her as the soul healer for a party of people she cares a lot about. But yes, that's all.
And we also have Beatrix Bunny playing as her character, Zuza Sovana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beatrix. I'm normally a variety streamer focused on roguelikes, digital artwork, and RPGs. I also run, usually every other week, a Deadlands campaign, which is a system if you want alternate history, steampunk, horror, Wild West, then you should swing on by for that. I'm also currently in the midst of a CCV push. I'm trying to raise the average number of people who are swinging on by for my streams. So if you'd like to join in and get some fun rewards like exclusive Discord playthroughs of games that Twitch won't allow me to play properly, or ASMR streams, or any other rewards the community comes up with, then be sure to swing on by and maybe we can help reach those goals. Today, though, I am
Absolutely wonderful.
playing Zuza Sovana. I I do have special little snowflake syndrome in this game. Well, actually, fortunately, now that Lyra has shifted classes, I'm not the only homebrew D&D class player, so I feel a little less conscious about that. But I'm going to be playing as a Dehampur warlord, and despite the terrible rumors suggesting otherwise, I am not, in fact, nor ever have been undead.
Not no. We are that was a slight little issue that we had as a misunderstanding of my misunderstanding of what a Dhampir was. For the purposes of it, we're going to call it something similar, a form of life, but not quite life in a way. The traits that make up a Dhampir in this setting are likely going to be more akin to a sort of unusual form of life, and that is how we are going to at least look at it proceeding forward.
Honestly, I'm not upset. I thought it was kind of funny. It and also to be fair, like I'm technically using Dhampir, but I'm just like, well, okay, let's just scrape all of the vampire aesthetic off of it and make it into some weird xenomorph parasite having space entity thing.
I think with the introduction of some unique traits, we get the introduction for a little bit of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Oh boy.
We would be introducing Azura the Azure Dragon here, playing as her character Ashala. But unfortunately, due to a mistake on my part, because scheduling is hard and being aware that Discord doesn't properly set your timings, Azura is not presently here and may not be here for a bit. So
Like we can still hear her voice sometimes.
we're going to be proceeding for now, but we will be taking some time. We are going to ensure that everyone gets their time today. It's gonna be a bit of a faster paced session, so we're gonna try our best to make sure that everyone gets their moment here today. In our last adventure, the Crystal Dragons found themselves at an impossible challenge and sought safety over uncertainty, making the journey back to the fleet. Parties sought to comfort one another and reaffirm their decisions, growing stronger despite the loss they had experienced. Deals with gods, messages with higher beings, crew camaraderie. Crew is tested now as we return at the arrival of an old enemy, Isolde Sovana, Zuza's forgotten sister, embraced by the curse that lives within their bloodline. We are here now as Lyra sets up an augury spell to receive a warning from any sort of being, but in particular that of the god Akan, the god of fate, who has warned them, at least, of the coming danger. Valentine. The sword floats above the painting of Isolde that it has carved a bit crudely into the floor of the deck, and seems to await your command, given that you are the one that has taken precedence over it.
I think just seeing this very clear message, Valentine gives a nod of her head, just, yes, well, thank you. That was most helpful, Lacan. Sorry to drag you out, and, well, until we need you again.
The sword slowly drifts down to the floor and then starts carving the words into the deck, hurry, before gently floating up and then seemingly dancing its way down into the lower decks. Not seemingly bothered by what may be coming.
I see. How kind of him to usher us towards our impending danger.
As per our last session, we were also discussing whether or not this may be the opportunity to consider the deal that he had made. In return for the star that Zuza was offered, she is given back her old life, or she can continue with whatever she has.
Oh, man. I think with knowing this and that we're about to face Zuza's cousin, correct? They're cousins?
Siblings.
I
Just
don't know. I've never met them.
oh, family then. Um, just looking at Zuza, I hope you don't find this terribly intrusive, but is your new condition going to be a problem in our impending reunion?
Mm, No, I don't think so. Um, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it doesn't feel like it is disadvantageous, at least.
I see.
Could we?
Perhaps, just in case things don't go particularly well, perhaps I should bring a con with us, just in case.
Oh,
The
as
blade
much of a
peeks its way
cad,
up.
as much of a cad as they've been acting, that may very well be useful. If we're to believe that they do, in fact, prefer us to be alive for their continued amusement.
Lyra, your thoughts on the matter?
Well, to be honest, there's a side of me that's worried that if the star is taken, Zazuza will no longer be with us.
Is such a thing possible to just pluck it out? I mean, for
I,
being like a Khan, I can imagine so, being divine. She gives it in air quotes.
I'm not entirely sure, but this this person is arguably one of the most powerful people that we've seen in.
They were able to stand toe to toe with the fleet's chosen champion.
Don't I don't really foresee us properly being able to best them in combat, all things considered, as much as I hate to admit it.
Agreed.
And I don't have the ability to save anyone if things were to get gruesome.
Valentine looks over at the sword, just. Khan, I don't know if you're able to answer, or if you just want to pop into my head again for a response, but how quickly would such a procedure be if, hypothetically, we gave you permission to remove the star from Zuza?
As you look over towards the sword, you see that rather than just being the sword, you actually see Akan floating with the sword being at his belt of sorts, as if he just flashed into existence at one point. Well, all things considered, I believe that. But a moment. It would take all of snap.
Excellent. You'll be our contingency plan.
Well, if you must. And he slowly disappears into the ground, the sword remaining but floating towards you and resting sort of near to you, but not upon your person.
She's gonna take the sword, and does it have like its scabbard and everything, like its sheath,
Yes,
or is
it's
it just
currently
okay?
it's currently sheathed.
Cool. She's gonna strap it to her to her waist. Well, we have that assurance then, I suppose.
Mm, yes.
DM,
Yes.
remind me, how much money do we have like on the ship at this point, considering we spent a lot of it on the one item? I'm blanking on what.
I believe the ship has somewhere between 50 to another 150.
Okay,
1,000?
Good grief.
that is more than 300.
Yes, I have not been properly doing it, but essentially it's you're 200 gold down, 200,000 gold down from
Yes. Okay.
various purchases.
Then, with that in mind, I think Lyra, we don't have to roleplay this, but I think Lyra would want to try and find a 300 gold diamond, at least one, just to have on hand for whatever the fuck is about to happen.
Hmm.
Whether that be just going to a shop or what, since we don't know where she is, we don't know where she's coming from or anything. We just know that we should expect her today.
Hmm.
So
As you
Lyra definitely want to do this. Go ahead.
As you ponder the arrival of when Isolde may arrive, the ship is beginning to make its way into the more secure docks on the more shady side. And the ship begins to approach its final destination when suddenly a bright arc of light appears in the distance, growing larger and larger before finally crashing into the ship. Rather than Isolde, as you were expecting, instead, you see a very peculiar looking monk. Tattoos covering most of his body, excluding his face, his hair tied back into a single knot behind his head. And he bears a cold expression upon his face. Zuza, you, however, know the feeling better than anyone else, as
Oh.
Isolde begins to rise out of his shadow. Isolde's stare is ravenous and eager as all of you witness her slowly begin to rise out of the man's shadow. A smile extends from ear to ear. You've done it. Taken something that wasn't yours and gorged yourself upon it. Your true self. Everyone make a wisdom save.
Cool, 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 cool.
Zuza, you get to roll with advantage.
Cool.
Her aura once again just causing us to potentially fall over.
I got a 21.
I got a 15.
I got an 18.
Valentine,
Uh-huh.
you feel a wave of cold rush past you as you see Isolde raise a singular hand and close it into a fist. And you turn to see both Lyra and Zuza completely and utterly frozen in place, as if they have been
my
petrified.
God.
I impulsively fire a shot. At
Go
Isolde.
ahead, go ahead and roll for an attack.
Uh,
Why can't I roll like above a 10 naturally?
21.
I was really hoping an 18. would
21.
make it.
As you fire this shot off at Isolde, you see the monk that stands next to her very quickly swing his hand almost faster than the bullet flies from your laser rifle and seems to parry it away with a seeming
So
glow
rude.
to his hand.
This
So
motherfucker
rude.
can deflect missiles made of light.
Laser missiles. Monks.
Oh my God.
She smiles towards Valentine, but then returns her gaze back to Zuza. Her steps approaching slowly, the weapon by their side, and each step
am I
the
still
only other sound.
conscious?
Yes, you are. You're fully aware of what's going on. You are just
Great.
frozen.
Great.
She holds a hand towards Valentine, as if saying, just wait, just a moment.
I certainly will not.
To me,
You come
warriors of
aboard
light!
my ship, threaten my co-captains, and you expect me to just stand aside and let you do as you wish?
To
Certainly
me,
not.
warriors of light!
Declare your intentions this instant.
She cocks her head towards Valentine, almost surprised, not only at the seeming resistance to her spell, but also just the sheer willingness to fight, despite
Sheer
being by
audacity.
herself. So it seems, sister dearest, that you have made friends. Friends who, while I had considered them to be little more than insects, perhaps they are worth something. As they say, power begets power. So be it. And she releases her hand. Lyra and Zuza, the two of you can feel breathing again, as if she was even restraining your lungs.
I'm glad I don't need to breathe. That would have sucked.
I am here for the gift that you bear. Zuza, your heart beats in anguish, but we are above such pointless things as regret and grief. The star, you must have consumed it. What became of the lands near it? The worlds near it, the people living upon that world. The effort killed you, if only but for a second. I find it exciting to see that you are nothing short of my equal. The monk seems to have a very firm stance and hasn't moved, but seems to have a very solid, just prepared stance, seemingly aimed towards Valentine. My lady,
And
you waste your time on this one. I think we claim our prize and let us move on. Isolde does not turn to him, but their eyes grow dim and their expression drops further. Ever pragmatic storm. I do not seek to kill you. However, her hand is going to move back. I want to know how far you can transcend your limits. How much the wolf truly rests within your heart. Wait! A voice suddenly abruptly calls from a puff of smoke, appearing between Zuza and the
thank
entropic
God.
spear forming in Isolde's hand.
Oh my god.
You must know that they have an audience with the king. Dispense of them before, and you will know not but his ire.
Stephen, the Fey Dragon, pleads.
Thanks, Stephen.
thank you, Stephen.
The entropic spear forming in Isolde's hand fades to nothing. So be it. Enjoy your petty victory for now. But know that the gift that you bear will soon be mine. And more than that, I wish to see you repeat this feat. Once more, or many times more. Show me that I am not alone in this, though it is ultimately our destiny to be alone. Come, Storm. You are right. We waste our time here.
Isolde, before you go, next time, all you need to do is knock. There's no need for dramatics.
She stops for a moment. as if seemingly hesitant to acknowledge anyone other than Zuza. But given your strength and your resilience, it gives her a moment of pause. And while it doesn't seem like it's much, you see a bit of a confused expression upon Storm the monk's face, as if something like this has never happened before. Ashala! Azura, welcome in. You came just in time.
Yeah.
Goodness.
It's okay.
Well,
Oh, don't forget your
what's
funky.
going on? Yeah, changing that over.
All right. So, while this is going on, I think Zeus has been kind of trying to steel herself a little bit,
Hmm.
and I think she finally speaks up. Well, cousin, I can't say that I understand you or your means, but if there's any gift that I have, I'm afraid you're sorely mistaken as to its nature. Though, from the looks of it, I do have something, but I do have something of a gift that I suppose you'll never have. I have friends.
The smile returns to Isolde's face. So you do. Perhaps that is the source of your strength. And perhaps, to see your limits later, I will have to pluck them one by one. Farewell for now. And she slowly descends into the monk's shadow, where the monk jumps away, a streak of lightning energy bursting away from him as he flies off towards the rest of the fleet. A temporary threat averted for now. Ashala,
Mm-hmm.
while all this was going on, you suddenly snap back to attention, a sudden vision pulling you into a trance. And you are immediately pulled back out of it, a seeming mental barrier protecting you from the arrival of the dark entity that is Zuza's sibling.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember the last time I nearly keeled over because of them.
But now,
Thank you,
the threat
Stephen,
is
for
averted.
coming to our aid.
That was the scariest moment of my life.
And you are oh
Likewise.
so very brave.
In any case, I have to go see the king now, and you are expected as well with an audience. So please do make haste, lest we encounter another individual again.
Naturally, we shall.
Would you care to explain to your companion while I go unsoil my scales?
Certainly, sir. We will see you again at our appointed hour, and yes.
Yes, here. I hand the pseudo dragon the bowling ball sized cleansing stone that I have.
He puffs away into a rose-scented, seeming pseudo-dimension before appearing a few feet away, seemingly looking a bit fresher this time, and then slowly flying away.
Well, that went better than I expected, I suppose.
Well, we're all still alive.
Quite.
They seem to think that you had devoured a star and destroyed, like, a galaxy or something by
Yeah,
doing so, and that certainly did not happen. Nothing was damaged.
not in the slightest. I
That we
must
know
say, though,
of, anyway.
I was
Uh.
dead at the time, so I can't say for sure what exactly happened.
I mean, either way, either created and manifested a star, or somehow managed to pluck one from the heavens, and surely there's bound to be some sort of cosmic repercussions for that, and either way, I think,
I think we don't tell her anything about my capabilities at the very least.
Certainly
certainly.
not.
If I can sustain your kind of people with the sun-devouring wolf, I don't want to imagine what he would do with that information.
It doesn't sound like she necessarily even wants the star. It sounds like she wants to see if you can do it again, Zuza. Or rather, what she thinks you did again.
Well, I suppose at this rate, I will likely die again at some point.
Don't say that.
Well,
I mean, it is a certainty, but hopefully not for
No.
a long while yet.
Oh, yes, yes. I am uh, genetically part halfling on my father's side, yes.
Well, in any case, I think moving forward, it would be best if Zuza, you remained close to me and by proxy Akan, just in case until we deal with your meddling family.
Agreed. I'm not nearly as much use on my own, regardless, so that's likely for the
Nonsense.
oh, pish posh. Most of what I've learned is how to appropriately and effectively order people about to better effect.
And you do it so very well.
Yes, but I do need other people for that.
Well, you'll at least have me by your side for the foreseeable future. But as of now, I think, well, we've got a Pirate King to see.
Yes.
Before we head off, Valentine is going to quick check in with like Robert and the crew and make sure that they know to get everything, docked off and shipshape and yada yada. And then to please go and enjoy themselves. They need a break.
You're able to do a quick little run through of the crew. Each member seemingly has something they're going to be doing. Evan is handling paying everyone for the long voyage. Just running through our list really, really quickly. Chex is probably just going to go off towards the Forge District as he has almost every time to go and work on more projects. Potentially seeing if he can work on some more guns. Robert, however, seemingly after watching the whole thing from the higher decks, is a bit disturbed and is wondering if he should stay at the ship, and is considering at least staying at the ship for now. At least until you plan on heading out again. Alexander, in particular, is also going to be staying at the ship, and very quickly makes his way to the lower decks, seemingly having also been held and unexpectedly having some issues with keeping himself unsoiled in the presence of such a ferocious individual.
Oh, buddy. Oh, also, I want him to know I'm taking his sword.
He's very aware.
All right, cool. I don't want him to be like, wait, where is it? She told me to keep an eye on it. So yeah, I have it.
Randall was in the lower decks and was seemingly unaffected. However, he mentions that he plans to go to the Weaver and asks if you would like for him to deliver the Soul Crystal, unless you'd like to bring that personally.
I like to think we can definitely trust Randall with that, but I
Ashala?
also leave it to my co-captains.
Considering what was inside of that.
That's the thing. It's no longer relating to my mother anymore. It's just an integral item to the Weaver's plans. So, Randall, if you wish to deliver it, so be. After all, you are working with us on that regard anyways.
Indeed, I see it as a bit of a ease in your efforts. One less thing to worry about while you're traveling through our wonderful city of thieves.
Very well. Besides, I get the feeling, if we were to go down in the underbelly, I feel like people would be more on a lookout for us more than anything.
It could be possible. However, I believe that you're at least quite safe, at least going through some districts that would be a bit more safe. The Drow district, perhaps, might be the most simple way, and taking the bit of a longer route might be of ease as well. Taking all the way around, where it's most visible, at the very least. In any case, if you're willing to entrust this to me, I shall ease your burdens to some degree.
That is, unless anyone has some questions for our esteemed patron. If anyone does wish to go and speak with them.
I wouldn't mind.
Yes, I think a visit is in order.
Very well.
Perhaps
In that case,
when he could summon us whenever he's done reading into the crystal or verifying.
Well, that is partially my role. And from what I understand, this is everything it needs to be. It's more whether you'd like to deliver it yourselves, or if you'd like to send me as your proxy. In either case, I believe a visit is in order. He certainly would appreciate the presence.
By all means, I think you should travel ahead of us, deliver it with expediency, and after our meeting with next frigate, perhaps we could arrange a visit with the Weaver afterwards.
Very well. And so it will be. And he
Very
holds
least,
out a cupped
I-
hand towards you.
at the very least, I can't imagine the Gith wanting this now that what it used to hold is no longer there. So, should be fine.
Would
I
you
should
like
pass
an
it on.
A nice decoy, if nothing else.
Would you like an escort, Randall? Just in case.
As Ashala places it into his hands, he sort of covers up his cupped hand with it, and it seemingly disappears into what you imagine to be a bit of a safe, magical place for it. I believe I can make my way carefully through the city. At the most, I can also just potentially teleport myself directly, Unfortunately, my spell isn't enough to take more than one person, without some risks, at the very least.
Very good.
But I can ensure its safety, at the very least.
That sounds good.
So it will be done. Any last things before I head out?
No, we'll see you soon.
He gives a nod, and a slight magic circle appears at his feet, and a bright flash of light appears, and he's gone.
We still have those dragon eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Me
do, in
too.
fact. They are
I think-
cozy in Lyra's bed.
I think I think those should stay here for the time being. I don't want to attract too much attention with them. So perhaps since Robert and Alexander are remaining here aboard the ship, they could keep an eye on them as well.
Of course.
Right. They are quite tucked in at the moment, so I assume they have enough warmth at the very least.
And it flashes to a little scene of Lyra's room where the eggs are tucked into her bed, nice and cozy. A blanket wrapped around them.
So cute.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you take the time to visit the last two individuals. The doctor, Taktha, who is seemingly heading back towards the slum districts where the rest of the Thrycreen reside. And he insists that should anyone need him, he will be on standby. And Eben.
Do be careful, Doctor. I'm a bit worried with my siblings' connection to some Thrycreen cells. Do be careful. Stay safe.
Oh, please, do not worry about me, Lady Zuza. After all, I am one of my people, if anything. They consider me an important individual within our culture, even if I am different, in a way.
All right.
Be safe as well.
And he makes his way off. Lastly, Eben, who has fully docked the ship and has made his way back to the top of the deck. And he is bearing a large crate that you can only imagine has the body of Groba within it.
Oh no. Well, I know we have a pressing appointment, but I can't stand us leaving him like that.
No, I agree.
Do not worry, Captain. I intend to take care of things.
Are you sure? I mean, it's...
Indeed. I believe I have some leads on where I may potentially find a cleric capable of restoring Groba. I am uncertain, however, I will try my best.
Well, that's wonderful news. Yes, please, if you find out anything, I do trust your judgment in this. I know how much you cared about him.
He gives his usual polite bow, and lifts the box, and seemingly finds a way to shove it into his bag of holding, before setting off himself in the direction of the Black Dragons Guild. or the Black Meteor Guild. Having
I do
sorted
hope that works out.
Having sorted all of your affairs, you begin to make the journey across the fleet towards Lex Frigate's estate. Same as before, it's a somewhat different location as compared to the rest of the fleet altogether. It's much more peaceful here, and the only individuals you tend to see are those that are directly in service to Lex Frigate. There are none who are outsiders, save for maybe some adventurers who are passing in and out, having had some form of audience, or are dealing with the many clerics outside of his estate. Before long, you find that you are able to sort of bypass many of the lines, proceeding all the way in to the king's inner lair, where he sits patiently, watching you. Come, enter.
Definitely going to leave the talking to you too, gesturing to Sousa and Valentine.
Of course. I think we can handle it.
Valentine will put on that practiced air of calm and stride on in, give a very deep curtsy before Lex Frigate. Just an honor to see you again.
His hand rests upon his red dragon face in particular. The other heads seemingly giving a bit of a curious, inquisitive sort of look towards you.
We must thank you and your servant, Stephen. I'm afraid we were waylaid on our way back by that, unfortunately, it seems a relative of mine is old, who seemed intent on making sure that we would not be able to see to you intact.
You see that Stephen suddenly appears and slowly makes his way over towards the red dragon's ear and seems to begin whispering into the ear. It goes on for some time before Lex seemingly raises his red head up, and the others all turn towards him, seemingly awaiting. And he calls out, "Everyone out of the room now." And the room immediately, with all the bustling and counting of coins, the moving of magical items and inspection of items and seeming passing by and conversation, comes to a complete halt. Stephen seems a bit frightened, but has not moved from where he is, directly by the king's side. And Lex Frigate stands and walks towards the party, resting himself on a single knee so that he is a bit closer towards being at level, but he's still a bit too large to be at level. His head spreading to look at each member of the party individually. I see. So I'm to understand that you were unsuccessful in your journey.
Yes, I'm afraid to say that through sheer overwhelming opposition, the state of the planet and the inhabitants had become untenable for a single crew. We already received several casualties simply reconnoitering from afar, and we judged it a better use of our time to return with all due haste and make sure that the fleet was informed about the status of things than to risk further, if not complete loss at the hands of the Illithid fleet.
The green head, the very cunning seeming one, sort of slithers over towards you.
You speak well. We appreciate this.
We are not in a court, so we do not expect you to speak with such grace,
Though your formality is appreciated.
There's a bit of an exhale, and a cold rush of air comes from the nose of the white one, who is wearing 2 eye patches and facing away from the party, seemingly not wanting to blow any cold air in their direction, yet still, his presence is overwhelming. The black one turns and seems to watch his brother for some time before speaking. 3 nautiloids you speak of? I find
that we
it...
came in contact. There were many others. And I fear no matter how capable a crew we may have, we were utterly outmatched by such a force.
You say outmatched, the black one speaks. But a single casualty. While I imagine your crew is strong, thanks to its bonds, I find your efforts a bit lacking. And he huffs a bit of acidic-y smoke from his nose and takes a bit of a small pipe that he brings up to his mouth. The blue one seemingly turns and snaps at the black one. Do not forsake that which they have spent at our expense.
Forgive us. Speak.
The blue one says towards Valentine in particular.
I suppose that His Majesty would rather us die out in a blaze of glory. Had we have done so,
Go on.
you would never know the information that we have just shared. And perhaps you would like to face the Illithids yourself.
The green and the black grow a toothy grin, and the red seems to squint his eyes towards you, both lenses, vertical and horizontal, before opening them and letting out a hearty bellow. You speak with heart, and that is more liberating than anything you could have done. He holds out a hand to you. The hand is absolutely massive and could essentially put all of you within it. But he rests it out for you. You have my deepest apology. My sibling did not intend to make light of your situation. How much do you know of us? He says, turning towards at least the 3 nobles. he imagines Ashala might already be somewhat aware.
Oh gosh.
Stories, legends, certainly news of and gossip and
The manner of tales one assumes to be told until one realizes just how much the subject of said stories dwarfs the scale of the stories.
in
Each of
actuality,
us.
DM, how much do we know?
You at least know that there's a bit of a discrepancy in the timeline of the fleet, where Lex Frigate supposedly founded the fleet and the Star Chasers several thousand years ago, which is likely not possible. And each of the various guilds have exchanged hands several times. Different guilds rising to power and falling from power, but among them all, Lex Frigate remains as one of the sole individuals. There are rumors about him being potentially related to the fleet, or the Federation to some degree, before ultimately striking out on his own. There are rumors that he's not actually a Dragonborn, and is actually a avatar of Tiamat that has taken mortal form. Would be quite compelling seeing it face to face. But in particular, not much is said about his actual exploits that allowed him to reach where he is. At least, none that you are familiar with. Ashala, on the other hand, you, at least, are familiar with the various legends that are told about him and his adventures in space. But before you can consider recalling all of it, he seems to be ready to explain it all to you anyway. Each of us is our own storied individual. We let one take the lead while the others follow. The head of white is the wise. Long ago, we lost our eyes and sought to see without seeing. That which cannot be experienced directly. We do not immediately react, but we think. The head of black is our strategist. To him, a single death or casualty may be worth more in the grand scheme of things. So you must understand where each of us lie. I, the red, am the leader. Whenever there is a lack of consensus, I am the one that makes the decision breaker. The green head is that of the schemer, the one who thinks for us, the one who determines all of our plans and how we would approach any given situation. And that of the blue is the merchant, the one who considers all of our dealings, whether they are fair and partial. Each of you are your own respective head within your own crew. The white head sort of drifts in, wanting to take over the conversation. And you have sacrificed for us. For that, we can be appreciative. More than anything, we believe it is time to tell you truth. That in fact, this was little more than a test. Blackhead jumps forward. While you did not exceed our expectations, you have brought us useful information, as you say. Tell us more of this illithid that you fought. Pray any detail may be useful to us. The green head coughs.
This is your cue to explain to us about the illithid.
Hello?
Well,
Oh, I hear you,
Okay.
Azura.
Oh,
Okay, I just want
sorry.
to make sure. I didn't know if Discord was having a
realized
fit.
I was muted. I was just saying it's going to be kind of difficult in and out of character since neither me or Zuza saw action during that fight.
well,
Mhm.
where to begin? As I mentioned before, it was quite the impressive and oppressive force. We encountered 3 vessels, and the commander on the 3rd. Granted, I haven't encountered many illithids in my life, but this one was exceedingly strong and powerful. And I have to give the credit for his demise to my co-captain, Shala. When the 2 of us faced him down, it was she that dealt the final blow. It seemed as though they wanted to make a swift end of us so as we could not report back our findings.
So it would seem. The redhead speaks. And you mentioned that this was a peculiar specimen, no less.
I suppose as exceedingly peculiar as illithids can be.
From what I am to understand from your description and that of my companion here, and the whitehead seemingly bonks Stephen on the head almost as if like a head pat.
Aw.
You were faced with an Ulitharid, seeming leader, as much as a community of Illithid could have. The death of one, where they would be not murdered by unnatural means. 4 of the heads smile in Ashala's direction. They would turn into an elder brain. So it would seem that while you were not successful in liberating the colony, you were successful in potentially liberating a world from the influence of one.
What you're saying is we prematurely saved them from turning into a full-blown colony for the time being.
As your description begets, we have little understanding of what they wish. And he stands up again in his full height, practically reaching the 30-foot-high ceiling. Long ago, I fought a war against the Illithid. And more than anything, they sought nothing more than conquest. To subjugate us and all of our people. You may know, or have heard, that I was once a member of the Federation. This is not entirely fact, but it is similar to one. In the fledgling days before the Federation was formed, I was one of 2 members of the beginning Astral Alliance. One of the leaders, myself and my sister. The 2 of us had different ideas of how we would handle the threat of the Illithid. I propose that we stay and fight. That we earn our place within the galaxy that is our home. My sister, however, sought something else entirely. While I could not agree with such things, I chose to flee. And thus I was branded Lex Frigate Star Chaser. The namesake of the land that you inhabit is the weight of my consequences. My oldest enemy. For your efforts, I will promote you to the rank of silver, as it is evident that you are more than something as lowly as a bronze rank, especially given your performance in the tournament. However, if you intend to grow beyond that in my service, I am serious this time about having you liberate a planet. I will leave the location up to you, but know that I do have some expectation of your work going forward. And he begins to make his way back towards his chair, then has a seat. He
I'm glad
tosses
that-
you. Oh god.
I was just going to say, I'm glad that, considering things do not go as anticipated, that you still find some worth in our efforts.
As I have said, this is simply but a test. The bold among your bronze compatriots will perform an actual liberation of a planet. The foolish will die. Those who survive and bring useful information to me, however, I see fit for them to go up in the ranks. It is a test I offer to almost any, and now that you are at the rank of silver, you are sworn by its secrecy.
Of course.
The whitehead exhales once more, facing away from the party. You should ask. They have seen it. A sort of annoyed expression appears upon the redhead's face. The green looks in anticipation as if curious if he will ask. But ultimately, the red nods. Tell me, have you seen machines, constructs of sorts?
Well,
Machines.
we did see one of.
I'm
What was
afraid
it called?
Your Majesty's
Space
going to have to be.
guns?
She's trying to talk over Zusa real quick. I'm afraid that Your Majesty is going to have to be a mite more specific. Gives Zusa a look to like shush for a moment.
Zusa shrugs like, are we trying to keep that a secret?
Out of character, I'm not really too sure which one we're talking about here.
I thought we were
I-
talking about
Yes,
the
he's
giant
being general on
station-
purpose.
The giant
I-
space death machine.
Which he tries to keep secret, so we probably shouldn't know about it.
The white smiles, having heard the entire thing.
I mean, like, are we gonna lie to him?
The red, black, and white sort of look a bit expectantly as if not having heard the answer, and the green potentially heard the answer but doesn't want to give anything away. If I should be more specific, nothing so banal as auto dwarf or auto gnome of sorts. No, something unnatural, something that you wouldn't expect to see. He seems to be referring to something
Sure.
that's like person or like relatively small or normal size.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, okay, so not the giant orbital death laser. Got it.
If
Uh,
it is something not expected to be seen, it would be rather difficult to see it then.
out of
Stephen.
character, like, does anyone have an idea of what he's after with this?
Out of character,
I was gonna say, everyone aside from Ashala, roll a history check.
Oh, okay.
so this was before my time.
I don't have a clue.
It was a bit before.
Okay, because the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is Echo, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, my thought went to Echo, but I got a 23.
Lyra and Zuza, you actually do recall one of your first missions that you had. You went out with Captain Alexander and you encountered some strange metal spiders. And upon defeat, they seemed to fall apart, and before long, after Eben stashed them away in his bag, they turned into dust. Whether or not you share this information is entirely up to you.
I mean, I'm okay with sharing that out of character.
Yeah, I don't see how that's harmful.
Yeah, I think Zuzu then would speak up, like, well, if you, I suppose there was something that was rather unusual. It was some manner of construct that seemed to be able to reproduce itself by tearing apart other machines to craft more of itself. But when we tried to destroy it, once it was defeated, it seemed to just sort of fall apart.
The black head of the dragon hangs back and seemingly snaps his maw just a bit, and a bit of a low growl can be heard from him. The white head sort of knocks him, like, knock it off. And the red sort of leans back in the chair, looking a bit uneased by your description. Very well, so it would seem that they are back. I consider your information
Majesty?
valuable. These creatures you've encountered, they were a weapon devised by the fledgling Federation. Something I disagreed with. A tool that would prevent the Illithid from being able to continue to conquer the stars, yet would prevent any civilization from conquering the stars. A sort of fail-safe against the Illithid. A war against the Federation has always been something that was necessary. I will break the chains of oppression that they seek to place upon all of us. That is why liberation and freedom are important. That is why, and he stands and gestures to the room that he had shown you all the first time. That is why we must tend to the garden. Life must be allowed to flow freely, grow and expand as it would. We cannot allow for a single species to destroy the ecosystem. We are the tenders, the winnowers of our garden. And we would see you, our compatriots, as our tool. We do not wish to force you to that. But, through my might alone, I am but a single man. With the might of a fleet, the fleet, we stand a chance at overthrowing their oppression, the oppression of the Illithid, and any other threat that would threaten the galaxy.
It seems a noble enough endeavor. I am not sure as of yet how grand we would be able to accomplish, how grand in scope we would be able to accomplish things, but
Well, I
I see
believe
no
we are.
reason why we couldn't try to at least contribute.
And I believe we are to continue on with His Majesty's metaphor, the pruning shears.
Yes, the green head speaks. You are sharp. Sharp in wit and in blade, as is evident by your strength, the failings of our brother to see it. Personally, I find that you have done very well. And you see Lex reach his hand to the side and flick a silver medallion towards Valentine.
Ooh.
A badge of your rank.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Is this intended to wear just on my person as representative of the Crystal Dragons, or might my co-captains share in the spoils?
The green head smiles. You're free to do with it as you wish. You may discard it into the ethereal sea. You may wear it upon your person. You may hide it forever and discard it. But all the same, it is yours.
Thank you, Your Majesty. I hope that you'll see your garden bloom yet.
All of the heads smile at that, in varying degrees. The blue swings forward from the far back, a bit quiet over all this time. Your companion, Groba, you spoke of. He is going to reach back behind the chair and pull out a bag of coin and is going to set it down on a sort of table that's off to the side of him, but not in front of him, for your loss and the payment.
That is very generous indeed, but I could not bring it upon myself to accept His Majesty's coin. The casualties on a ship are the captain's responsibilities. But know that I am very grateful for the generosity.
The hand clutches around the coin, and the blue head seems to squint, seemingly not quite understanding of the rejection of coin. But the red sort of bows in understanding. So it is. Have you any questions of us?
What do you plan to do next regarding the Illithid force? Dealing with the Federation is one thing. The Illithids are another entirely. What are the next steps?
Lex lowers all of his heads in thought for a moment, and the green seems to raise, having an idea of what's next. And the white turns and looks almost as if uncertain of the thought that is crossing the green's head. And you imagine that they all share any thoughts that they have, even if they do think separately. The red rises with the blue and black. It would seem that in order for me to break the chains as I have, I must do something which I despise most of all. Going forward, and you shall be the first to hear of this, I shall redon the mantle of King of the Fleet. The guilds, while they each have their own leader, will return to my supervision. And I will organize our people to begin the fight of liberation, more than we have.
Not that I doubt His Majesty's intentions, but I imagine there'd be quite a few people that would be unhappy with that decision. What happens if they do not, well, adhere to your plan?
The white seems to lean forward a bit, seemingly wanting to find your voice and look in your general direction as much as he can.
Well, we have experienced this before.
It is something of a cycle for us.
We will experience times of hardship in which a firm hand must direct things. If left to democracy, there can be inaction. There can be doubts. People will become uncertain. And uncertainty will lead to more deaths. In order to protect the garden, we must be willing to take action.
Blackhead rises.
There are safeguards in place.
Everyone make a deception check.
Ooh. Oh no.
Hey, just a raw deception check.
Yep, just raw deception.
Ooh. It's
I got a
dirty,
9.
nasty 20.
You actually don't have to roll disadvantage for this, Lyra, because you haven't told a lie.
Oh.
I was about to say, like, all right, time to roll disadvantage. That's the 9.
Oh god.
Oh no.
I mean,
I'm
just
the
to make it
only
not,
one.
just to make it not as low as that, I even if they do twig on it, I don't want it to be that bad. So I'm gonna roll a d8.
Okay.
There, at least it's an 11 now, so I didn't do terribly.
It would seem that you are already aware of our weapon.
I do like when our soldiers are informed. And a big toothy grin appears on the black dragon's face.
Yes.
The red dragon leans back. Such is the responsibility that we will have to take. And while our people are free to choose whether or not they serve, many will understand the call. The guilds will understand the call. And should they not, others will come and take their place. It is a delicate balance of power.
Hmm.
You
Temporary
may keep this to
necessity.
yourselves. A temporary necessity indeed. I do not intend to wear this mantle for long. Some would call me custodian. Others prefer the title of king, given my longevity. The white head seemingly nodding in the back behind all of them. Call it what you may. I do not intend to keep it. I only invoke it when it is necessary.
Hmm.
I see.
A dance done many times before, yet will probably be done many times later more.
The white and green heads smile at you.
Well said.
Green head speaks. The red seemingly leans forward and just scans each of you individually. Crystal dragons. I see great potential in each of you. I do not expect that you will fail us, nor do I expect you to willingly give your lives to a cause that you have only just recently learned of. You are not beholden to me, yet you have done more than you could be aware of. For that, we thank you. Now, if you have nothing else for us, we bid you go. You likely have other matters to attend to.
Mhm.
Your Majesty.
I do have one question.
The one
Well,
who spoke first may go. Valentine, I believe the name was.
please do.
Oh, no, my questions have been answered. If Zuza has further inquiries, she may speak.
The heads turn towards Zuza.
I fear that with the ongoing threat posed to myself and my co-captains by my sibling or cousin, frankly, I'm not entirely sure, by Isolde, I would not be so bold as to request you directly intervene, but I do wonder if you know of a way that I might strengthen a piece of magic born of a dragon sword. I've been told that it requires rest within one to properly strengthen it. Like, say, holding the still sheathed, slumbering crystal dragon rapier.
They squint, a bit interested. Each head examining it, the green in particular taking a longer look than the others, and a bright glint appearing in their eyes, a detect magic spell. We see. This is a crystal dragon rapier. In that case, it must return to its hoard, unfortunately. Or the hoard of one similar.
I see.
While we
There you
may
go.
be able to imbue your weapon with additional powers, would that be the boon you request of us?
I'm not sure if I can speak for my party as a whole. It would be certainly it would certainly be a potent boon, but I kind of Zuza's not super used to considering things like her own martial abilities, so she's kind of looking to the rest of the party with a sort of sense of, uh, should I? Is this what I should be asking for?
The blue swings forward and seems a bit expectant.
I don't think anyone else has something that they would request of Lex Frigate, so
And you did just mention that you'd like the ability to fight on your own 2 feet. This could certainly help.
Hmm. Then yes, I think that this would help me better defend both myself as well as my co-captains and crew better.
Lex Frigate nods and will hold out a hand for the blade.
I hand it over.
You will return to me in time. I will imbue your weapon and have it delivered to you. But I expect that you will use this in my service. And a bit of a smile sheepishly appears across his face.
Of course.
Then it will be done. As for your sister, your sibling, well, I'm in no position to stand in opposition to one of my 2 strongest soldiers. You must understand, I need every warrior I can, and while combat is expressly forbidden, outside of arenas and sanctioned agreements, they all turn towards the Blackhead. Such things are frowned upon in the fleet, especially those in service to me. Continue your work on my behalf. And while you are in the presence of the fleet, I can guarantee that you will at least go avenged.
My thanks. And I'll curtsy.
The heads all slowly return back to rest as he sits back into his chair, and he sets the sword into his hoard, and a bit of chromatic glow envelops the weapon. Dragons, return to me. And the room slowly has all of the fey dragons slowly sort of pitter-patter in and float their way in. Returning to their roles, if there would be nothing else, please, be on your way.
Nod and proceed to make my way out after a polite bow.
Curtsy and make way out.
Your Majesty, she says in farewell, giving another deep curtsy and exiting with the co-captains.
And before long, you make your way out from Lex Frigate's domain. Back towards the less stressful air of the fleet.
I didn't say
He's got quite the presence, doesn't he?
he does. I didn't say a single word, and I don't know if I've been much more horrified in my entire life.
That went a lot better than I think I could have hoped, and
She looks down at the silver amulet in her hands.
If anything, it's just simply proof that we made the right decision.
yes. It still doesn't feel good, not yet, but at least we're not all about to be cooked by dragonfire.
Yes,
We did nothing wrong. In
thought that
fact,
went well.
it did go rather well, considering. That being said, though, we do have other matters to attend to while we're here on the fleet.
And Sousa, I want to apologize for stepping on your toes. It's just that secrets are very powerful things, and I worried if we knew secrets of a being as powerful as Lex Frigate that we would become a liability to him.
Oh, that's quite understandable. I feel I was simply acting under the assumption that if we were to lie, that someone with as much magic as him would likely have a way of knowing that as well.
You very well may be right on that front as well. I don't know what the correct answer would have been, but I'm glad that we live to see another day, despite the knowledge that we now have.
Right.
And the knowledge that we will keep.
Yes.
Yes.
I suppose we should prepare ourselves for that coming shift in the politicking of the fleet.
I have to imagine there'll be a good many guild leaders who'll be unhappy with that shift in power, but I'm not exactly one to be supportive of a dictator, but he has cycled through it before, which means that he does give it up, doesn't keep it.
I don't think there's anything we could do either way to deal with this.
We've seen the man smite someone down without even lifting a finger before, right? And that was one of the more successful of the tournament participants. I feel as though we'll simply have to take it with some degree of faith for now.
Well, I think once we have our footing again, some rest and respite, recuperation, perhaps we could do some research into colonies of our own. Preferably ones illithid-free, I think. That we
Agreed.
might prune.
They do have to be under Federation control now.
Yes.
Uh,
Not
And
specified.
clearly,
oh, not specified?
Not specified.
Oh.
Provided that you are liberating it from tyranny and potentially bringing it into the fold of the liberation of the Star Chasers.
Okay.
Lyra would speak up, just like saying, I had the thought of we do like to kill two birds with one stone, in a way, on our journeys.
We have killed many birds that way.
Which birds are you referring to, Lyra?
The ones I'm speaking of now are, well, that of my home planet. If it is truly under Neogi control, I don't imagine we'd want that. In pursuit of my own goals, as well as in pursuit of Lex frigates.
Oh, I feel your goals are goals by this point, Lyra.
Oh, yes, of course, but I just, as I said, would allow us to prove ourselves to him, and, well, we're going to go there eventually anyways.
then it does most certainly seem suitable. We would just simply need to maybe do our research before making such a bold move,
Right, of
I
course.
think.
Need to make sure we can finance such an endeavor. Have a suitably robust crew. Goodness, I hope we wouldn't have to consider franchising out into a fleet of our own.
That's. I think it's a
Well,
little early for that.
I think that entirely depends on what we find out as we continue our research. It may very well be bigger than the crystal dragons alone can withstand. I'm not opposed to partnering up if it comes to it. I'm sure there are several captains on the fleet who are ready for adventure, eager to prove themselves, perhaps needing to liberate a colony of their own.
And we don't have to go for the one that I suggested.
Lyra,
If it-
darling, this is the first time that you've vocalized an interest in doing it.
He just kind of
I-
looks down and blushes a little bit, just like, yeah.
I
Lyra,
say we chase that.
if there's anything that I've learned through all of this, it's that you are allowed to feel a little selfish when it comes to something so deeply personal as your past, as where your origin lies, family.
And I know that you're all correct on this. It's simply, I don't want anyone to be hurt or worse because of my desires.
Lyra, whether we go to your home planet or any other star system in the universe, wherever we attempt to liberate, liberation doesn't come easily. It's going to be dangerous no matter what. So we might as well make it count.
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of looks up from just kind of casting her gaze downwards for the last little bit. Gives you guys all a big smile and said, well, we'll do the research then and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. We'll make an educated decision down the line.
All right. Then I think it's settled. We shall look into the matter and endeavor to give it the most knowledgeable decision making we can.
As you all
Mhm.
ponder this and travel your way back towards your ship, you actually notice a familiar face down the road. A friendly one, at that. None other than Mac Muffin.
He lives.
A boy.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, Mac, it's
wow.
been ages. How are you?
I have news of sorts.
Oh, do tell.
Finea has been doing some research, and, well, it seems that, some of the Githyanki had survived, and she has her ways of getting them to talk. I really kind of, I don't really worry about that part. It's not really my business, but, you know, I've been practicing my, my magics and stuff, but, Finea, in particular, you know, she might have actually found out where my parents are.
Oh,
At least, she knows that where they might be traveling to. She wanted to have a meeting with you all. No rush. I'll let her know when you're ready to talk.
Of
I don't
course,
really want to hang around if you're like busy doing stuff, but
we've just arrived. We've just pulled into port, and we do have some pressing appointments. However, we can certainly schedule her in.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm not sure how time specific this is, but I know that they're kind of moving them, so you know, don't rush, but don't wait too long. Like don't put me off because they might disappear if we don't do anything.
Duly noted. We will be quite efficient, I assure you.
All right, wonderful. See you guys around. And he just kind of awkwardly waves and begins bounding off into the distance.
Oh, he's such a darling boy.
But that doesn't mean that we can start moving forward with plans revolving around Mac, at the very least, now that there's been progress, I'm assuming. We
I
just need to
can't
talk to
shake
Finea.
the feeling as though there's something else we've been forgetting. Was there some, I want to say, a father that we were meant to find somewhere?
I do believe you mentioned the barkeep's father.
Oh,
Who?
yes, that must have been it.
I mean, I did bring this up last time we came here, but I guess pressing matters became a bit more of a priority considering the situation.
Yes, I think planetary liberations overshadow the cause to find a lost father. She says with
Well,
just a hint of bitterness in her voice that she's trying to mask.
Oh,
at the very
Good.
least, it wasn't entirely in vain. We did also go there to visit the rift for myself and Mist.
Quite.
We got
I
a lot
suppose.
done while we were out there.
Yes, I suppose while we're here, we'll keep our eyes open for any lost fathers, though. But between the Weaver and Finea, I mean, we're positively swamped.
Mm.
How about this? If it's regarding the bigger matters that you want to attend to, you can attend to them. Maybe with my connections and my subtlety, I can maybe inquire more on our barkeep's father and maybe try to pin a location on that.
Seems like a well
Divide and
thought out
conquer.
plan.
Would you feel alright doing that by yourself?
Well, it's not like I haven't done so before. And if it's simply information gathering, I don't see any particular reason it should go wrong. But if you think that having an extra pair of eyes to look out behind me is appropriate.
If it wouldn't be too much interruption.
Are you volunteering?
Oh, maybe?
Well, to be fair, I did promise some time with you once we got back to the fleet. But this wasn't quite the
yes.
exact kind of the kind of time I was expecting
It
to
wasn't-
have.
It doesn't have to be that. If anything, I'd prefer for it to not be business, if we can help it.
I once we find time while we're here, for now, I would like to still initiate those plans with you.
Right.
Zusa and Valentine are just watching, smugly smiling.
Yo,
I'm going to palm your face with my invisible mage hand.
I don't think I'd be much help with this. If I'm being honest, I suppose I was just looking for an excuse. So I should probably just go with the others, and you can handle this because it might need some sort of roguish tendencies that I do not have.
Quite right. But at the same time, I do hope that your adventures down below are hopefully uneventful. After all, I think we could all do with a break pretty soon, if you ask me.
Yes, you've no idea.
Tomorrow, no business. Get it all done today, if we can.
Agreed.
So everyone's going to be splitting up.
Yeah. So Shala, I think like once we've agreed to split up from here, I think Shala will at least do a little bit of digging, in regards to the gang that might have the barkeep's father. And on the more discreet side, and the rest I think are going to go down below to. Depends on which one you want to do first, but there is the Weaver and Finea. And also Valentine's. Topside is it?
Yes, she's
then.
currently hanging out in the Regal district, which is the very, very fancy green district.
Well, in that case, that's a bit closer, I suppose. But there is Finea, there's the Weaver down below, and there's also the fact that I think a certain gunslinger has a special commission waiting for them.
Oh yes. she is itching to pick that up.
Let's start with Ashala. I imagine you're heading to the underside to go and dig up some information, given all your contacts there.
Yeah.
You consider to start with the place where you find that information is the easiest to access. You actually head home for the first time in a very long time. Especially given that your father was very insistent on you striking it out on your own. You feel that perhaps it's been enough time, at least at this point. You find yourself in the underside, heading towards the general residential district, where you seemingly slide into a back alleyway, and open up a door which leads to the empty facade of a building. Nothing inside at all. But making your way through the basement, you open it up and head down a long flight of stairs that leads you to the den of Skaith the Steeled. And while you're expecting that some people will be around, you imagine that most of the crew is probably out doing something at this hour of the day. But rather than seeing at least a half-emptied room, you see no one, save for one gnomish woman. A person who you consider to be a sort of motherly figure. She goes by the name of Rui. Rui Kotoba.
Oh, Rui.
Yes, Rui. Bless my eyes if I've ever seen such a sort. Ashala!
Rui, it's been too long.
She practically hops over the bar and starts waddling her way over to you, much smaller than you are.
I'll, of course, naturally kneel down.
It's been too long. So,
It has.
I imagine you're here for something, and she has a bit of a smile and a glint to her eye.
Mm. Well, considering, Skaith, sent me off to, well, strike out on my own, I suppose, and, it's been so long, I figured I'd at least be able to come back and socialize a bit, but I've noticed a distinct lacking of people. Is, father still
Gallivanting in the
space with all of them?
stars. Indeed. Yes, leaving poor little old me to pine here all alone.
I was gonna say, what do you do with the time?
Oh, I manage everything. You know what I do. I love to stick my hands into the finances and ensure that we're doing our best as our little guild here. We're no Black Meteor Guild or no Golden Wings, but we do well, at least with my investments.
That what you do. You've always at least had a hand, at least in every honeypot, so to speak.
And they all are delectable, I will have you know. In any case, you're not here for all of my talk. What are you here for?
Oh, well, actually, funnily enough, a favor that we've kind of put off for quite a fair while due to the urgency of other matters, but I'm here at the request of, I suppose, a friend. Their father's been missing for quite a while.
Oh, that doesn't narrow things
And
down much, but
I don't suppose you are aware of the barkeep up on the surface. I believe it was what was the name of the bar? Out of character, the name
Moondrop.
of the bar?
Moondrop.
The Blue Drop. The Moondrop. Yes.
I know the name, Harold is the name.
Yes. I think he's been gone for quite some time now. Especially so given our lack of effort in regards to locating him. And I want to try and rectify that.
Well, gallivanting bard that he is, you might be better off just leaving him as he is. That's my take on it. Why are you looking for
I
him?
suppose.
For the... Not his... well... I suppose you said the moon drop, which means that it's probably one of them. You aware of how many children that man has?
Not quite so much. The current proprietress of the Moondrop is actually very eager for him to return so that she can focus on other things.
Oh, well, she's in a long line then. Every sort of half-breed you can imagine. Half-elf, half-tiefling, half-orc, half-gnome. You name it, he's probably got one. In any case, perhaps... well, do you have any leads on where he might be?
The only thing I think we did learn of in regards to that was that he did recently have some altercations with a certain group, which out of character can't remember either because it's been that
They
long.
are the Jets and the Sharks. And we all turn towards the camera and smile.
I believe the Jets and the Sharks were the last who have interacted with him.
Oh, well, good news and bad news on that front. Good news, don't have to worry about them. Bad news, they've disbanded. They formed a singular group instead. And they've sort of made their way down into the mines. Tunnel snakes, they call themselves now. Really original
snakes
folk.
rule.
Absolutely original folk, yes. Like the last few tunnel snakes that we've had. Honestly, getting a bit sick of them now. But unfortunately, they've made up their differences, and if no herald has popped up, well, maybe he's involved in some degree, but if you're looking for him, no better place in the mines. Oh, it's a bit dangerous, even for you. I know you got a good head on your shoulders. Just be careful, alright?
I'll certainly try to. Nothing a bit of blade work never fixed, but I do have some friends now, I suppose I could say.
A bright, sort of warmish smile grows across her face. So you've been well then?
Very.
That's all I needed
It's
to
been
know.
perilous. It's been perilous, but I think it's been enlightening to say the least.
Well, you certainly got a bit of a different air about you. I'm pleased. You've grown into a fine young woman, Ashala.
Thank you.
Well, if you and your friends are ever in town, let them know. They've got a semi-warm bunk. I dug a little bit too deep here, but they've got a semi-warm bunk and a drink if they're ever looking for one.
Well, I mean, if my father is as adventurous as we all know him, I'm sure that this place could do with a few more lively individuals to liven up here every once in a while.
Oh, please, if it's not business, it'd be better for me.
At the very least, a private place away from public eye would also be appreciated too.
That it is. Well, if you got nothing else for me, I've got some books to cook. You didn't hear that from me.
Got you. I'll catch you around.
Ta-ta! And she waves you off.
Yeah. Alright, that's all me sorted.
Back to the surface. It's the first time that many of you have actually been to the Regal District outside of briefly walking past it to get towards the Solar Winds Guild. But you find that it is almost something like a gated neighborhood, so nothing that you're entirely unfamiliar with. You find that it's very elegant, and you do see a bit more elves than usual, and you imagine that elves are, given the low frequency that you've seen them on the fleet, something of a rare sort. Especially here, in particular. But making your way through, you actually find the place where Mac had insisted that you go, and find that outside of a absolutely monstrous temple, you find that there's a bit of a side road that takes you to the back end. And while it's not the most impressive edifice, it's at least interesting to look at. Stepping inside, you find, similarly to how Ashala's location was, it's fake on the outside. And making your way around it, you find that there is actually a hatch that leads to the lower side of this building. Making your way down into this base, you find a sort of safe house of sorts. And there, waiting patiently in this little makeshift office, is a cross-legged Finea. By her side, a seemingly impatient Macmuffin. I see, good timing. We're actually just talking about how our mutual friend here should be a little bit more expeditious in trying to bring you, given the time constraints that we're working with. Come, sit. I'm not here to make you feel nervous.
Thank you. It's good to see you again as well.
Finea sort of settles into her large chair that she has, almost like a sort of throne if it was mixed with the sofa. Now then, it's been some time since we've last spoken, and there's not really too much to tell you. At the most, thanks to your efforts, we're now aware of where the Githyanki have taken dear Macmuffin's father, and the rest of his people at the very least. She sort of takes a moment to kind of look at her nails, and you notice that her features are gradually becoming more draconic. You had noticed a bit of scales developing on her last time, but you notice that her nails are also particularly a bit more dagger-like in appearance. In particular, we're aware that at least 2 ships will be carrying a majority of the passengers. There may be others that are among different ships, but we're only aware of 2. Unfortunately, due to this space storm, the odds of you catching them in any regular vessel would be 0 to none. However, given how resourceful and kind I am, I have something of an experimental vessel that I've borrowed from the Federation. I call it...
Experimental how?
Well, let's suppose you are looking at your generic map of the galaxy. While we're aware of hyperlanes and traveling them out, this is a very interesting looking map. It's certainly not the one that I was trying to conjure up. And she snaps and a different image of a map appears. Suppose you were attempting to travel from, let's say, the fleet, and you wanted to go directly towards this star. Normally, you would have to take a very long and convoluted route that would be fairly simple and fairly fast, if anything. A matter of days per planet. Or star system, at the very least. With this experimental vessel, you can go from point A to point B. No questions asked.
It teleports.
Indeed. It bends space and makes a sort of pathway on its own. How far it is, I haven't tested, nor am I particularly willing to be there to test it. And unfortunately, it's more of a recent thing. So, if anything, we're actually looking to have a sort of field test coming soon. And if it happens to blow up, well, no harm, no foul. But, on the off chance it does work, the plan is we'll have you board my brand new Quantum of Solace, I call it. And I will deliver you directly to the location where the ships will be passing through on the new Githyanki trade route. And it is there that we will drop your team off on one vessel, and I, along with a couple of others, will go onto the other vessel. Ideally, we will steal one of the ships and obtain their manifest and find a little bit more formal routes of where they're going. But if the ships happen to explode, well, that wouldn't be good for all the passengers, and we don't necessarily have the most room on the Quantum. However, I think we can at least get most of them.
And should the Federation come sniffing about, looking for their borrowed vessel?
Oh, well, then they'll have to catch it as it's jumping about the galaxy. Certainly not something that I would anticipate being an issue.
I see. You presume that this is the only vessel of the Federation's with that capability.
That it is. I've actually had a bit of an informant for me working for some time. Works in their tech division. Unfortunate that I haven't heard from him in a bit, but I know that this is the only one.
How convenient.
And does that friend have any idea how exactly this works? Obviously, we don't have a ship engineer with us today.
Well,
But-
outside of the general, usual mode of transportation, where you jump from point to point, it seems to create its own pathway and avoids everything else. The issue, given that the storm is going to alter its direction, it may not end up intentionally where we want it to. So, as far as we're aware, there is some risk involved. But for what it's worth, I'll have those kinks worked out before you get on board. Hopefully.
So you're telling me that this thing can simply bore through the fabric of reality like a purple worm through Earth to make these worm holes, and that's how it travels?
Indeed, correct. Now, it's a bit expensive to use, and it's got something of a peculiar power source that I'm not necessarily going to disclose on the off chance that, well, let's just say it's not the best material that you want to have around, nor do you want anyone else to really know about it. In any case, using it is expensive. It goes from point A to point B. It's a bit expensive. You travel back after you've done what you need to do, you refuel, and you head off on your next journey.
Seems quite simple, all
That
things
it
considered.
is. Quite lovely, if you ask me. In any case, I would be requesting your support on this. At least, I'm assuming that you're all still on board. Gives a bit of a narrowed glance at everyone.
Well, we did. Looks over at the other captains. We did promise Mac to help find his parents.
And it would certainly make for good liberation practice.
So I see. In that case, I think we're about all settled. In that case, I believe that's all I have for you. I've got my own certain things to do, and Mr. Mack here needs to get back to his trainings. Unless he intends to spend forever being mediocre draconic sorcerer. I believe you're capable of more. And he sort of just laughs and rubs the back of his head, knowing he's definitely in trouble for not keeping up with his studies.
Mac, blink if you need help.
His eyes remain closed. But before long, you sort of head on out from Finea's base and make your way back towards the ship. And before long, Ashala returns as well. You are reunited.
Well, we've had a successful meeting with Finea, I think. Although, as ever, she's looking for more from us, but we did promise to help Mac, and we've got some good information. Were you successful with, our wayward father?
Oh, quite so. In fact, he seems to get around quite a lot, from what I've just been told.
Oh dear.
And funnily enough, the groups that he was he was how should I say coerced by are no longer their own individual cells anymore. They've actually they're all, I believe, now the tunnel snakes now down in the lower levels.
The tunnel snakes.
Strange
I don't know what the hell
name.
happened. Quite.
They got two
But-
rival gangs to join together as one.
Who would have thought? Hmm.
First worms, now snakes. What's this day coming to?
Maybe they had a
And
nice
awfully
song.
convincing.
Maybe they had a nice song together and settled their differences.
Oh, one would hope, but that's wishful thinking. That said, though, if we want to get any more information there, we'd need to go down and probably investigate the mines and maybe see the operation for ourselves. Or at the very least, maybe inquire about them in the lower levels before us doing so.
Now, pardon me, but the way that you phrased this made it almost seem like the father, was not being held against his will there?
Well,
Was that
that's the thing. His trail kind of goes cold. And the only people that know about him are now all one singular cell. So, I mean,
I see.
for all I know, he could be either still a prisoner of theirs, or maybe he's left a long time ago and we just haven't heard of him because, let's be fair, he sounds like a deadbeat.
Well, at least we'll have some information to give to Amber when we see her next.
Mm-hmm.
It's at
I
least
suppose.
progress.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Although,
sound
I feel like-
satisfied.
yeah. Although I do feel like she'd probably prefer if maybe we acted a little bit more proactively and maybe act on what we do know now rather than telling her before. I think she's waited long enough.
It has been multiple months, I believe.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I think we can probably maybe look into that ourselves and maybe learn more about what's exactly happened before coming back. that said, I do believe we do have one more stop to do.
Valentine kind of perks up at that.
You forgetting that we could go and check in with the
We
the
Ah, yes.
The W.
yes, we'll go with that. I'm assuming that we at least want to chase up just to make sure that everything did go smoothly and understand what plans we'll have going forward. I'm assuming, right?
I believe so, after all. We seem to be getting a lot of tasks on our plate at the moment.
It certainly
Hmm.
seems best to keep them in the loop.
Or at the very least, just, check in to make sure that everything has gone okay.
With all in consensus, you all make one more journey back into the underside. And together, you make your way over to the Weaver's inverted spire, heading in through the grand gates off in the distance. And finding it's more quiet than it previously has been at the spire. Valentine taking point as the guards, the drow, seem to be expecting Valentine in particular, and they stand aside for her. Before long, the party makes their way carefully up the inverted spire and find, while they were expecting to encounter the Weaver and perhaps one of many of the Drow supporters, instead, they find the witch, Cheryl.
Oh.
Crystal dragons. It's been some time. Ashala, you actually ordinarily would have had to shield your eyes away from Cheryl. However, you feel a sort of sense of protection about yourself now that prophecy is in your hands.
It certainly has been some time, Cheryl.
She leans back in a sort of fancy witch's chair and gives a smile. So it would seem. And you were quite successful. I see that. What is it that you call the young blonde individual that you normally have with you?
Randall?
That's the name. Interesting choice.
Oh.
She settles back just a bit further. Unfortunately, I have a bit of bad news for you. Weaver is, well, coming down with a bit of a worse condition. We call it something as Loth's frenzy.
What does that entail?
Well, it's continued loss of bodily function, a sort of general madness and confusion. It causes hostility. He's truly suffering, and as of recent has asked me to oversee matters in his name.
That would explain our last visit here, actually.
Hmm.
He
He's
seemed
very
very
considerate.
withdrawn.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the start of it getting worse, and it seems that it's expediting to some degree. Lest you worry, we are keeping it in check, but it doesn't stop the pain. It's more of a presence situation.
Is there anything we can do?
Well, you've already done quite enough to assist us. In fact, if I am to expedite our attempt, we only expect that there are 3 more ingredients. One of which, well, 4 of them, one of which was brought by your companion, the one known as Quilton. Bit difficult nowadays to obtain Phoenix Down, but surely enough, he had a feather exactly as we needed it. Almost like he knew. Peculiar. I never met him.
Quite fortunate then.
Don't worry, you probably met him in a future past.
She squints as you say that.
He certainly has his ways.
She waves her finger around and a book appears, and she waves a separate finger and a ink and quill appear and begin just writing up some details while she seems to get back to the conversation with you. Very interesting. In that case, I shall anticipate it. Now, regarding the Weaver's required items, there are only 3 left. At least 3 that I am assuming. These are predictive, they may not be accurate, but given that I am getting ahead of myself, I may be asking much of you. In any case, there are 3 aspects left to perform this body transfer. The first of which is the aspect of mind. There are spells which are able to preserve the mind, the personality, the thoughts. Such a thing would be important for an individual to acclimate to the body. Without it, it will fall apart. There is a spell called Echoes. If the Black Meteor Guild has this, they will not likely be able to give it up without instead receiving the 10th level spell Black Meteor. Now, such a thing is obviously the entire quest and purpose of their people, and given your proclivities for heists and whatnot, I imagine the Weaver would be willing to sanction such an investigation. But given its power, it's likely that they're not willing to give it up easily. We certainly tried with gold. Next is the aspect of the body. In order for us to reshape the body, or at least form the body in a way that we see fit, 9th level magic is interesting and perhaps potentially sufficient, but risky. This is a god we are working with after all, and personally, I'm not one that's keen to rely on wishes. As much as it's something within my wheelhouse, I personally do not prefer using them. It takes so long to come up with it, and the best way to do such a thing would be to interact with a demon, get specific wording from them, or a devil. Devils tend to be a bit better about it. But aside from that, the alternative is obtaining a Philosopher's Stone. Yes, storybook Philosopher's Stone. They are real, just peculiar and difficult to obtain. I've seen one myself. But unfortunately, they tend to have a bit of a shorter lifespan. As soon as they're made, they're usually used up and potentially used wrong. Immortality does not beget being able to avoid all forms of death. You'd be surprised how many alchemists are able to find and create a philosopher's stone only to jump into a volcano and discover that it does not prevent them from being turned to ash. We have potentially some leads. It can be crafted if you know a good enough artificer. Could be found. There are many places throughout the galaxy where such alchemists are believed to have existed, or potentially obtained. We are eyeing some potential individuals, but we have not tracked them down as of yet. Lastly, the third aspect that we're looking for is that of memories. You think those things would be tied up with the mind, they are in fact not. Memories are vitally of importance here. In which case, we need an item that is known as the Mask of the False. This, as you may guess from the name, must be obtained from a false hydra or some other similar creature. Where you would find such a thing is beyond my scope. Usually when you have an individual who sees a false hydra, they forget the false hydra. Really difficult matter at that.
What exactly is a false hydra?
Well, a false hydra is a being that, upon interaction, will cause the observer to forget anything that they are at least observing. For example, if you were to look at me, turn around, you would completely forget I had existed, at least until you're looking at me again. And should it happen to consume you, it would remove the memories of yourself from those that you know. You would all but disappear.
That would certainly be problematic.
Indeed. But, if I am to assume correctly, there are rumors of a false hydra being let loose in the underside of the fleet, and deep within the mines. You all seem perturbed.
Oh, it's hard not to be when told that there's something of a unseeable, unrememberable being capable of devouring one whole.
She sort of squints her eyes for a moment. Well, it's nothing more dangerous than anything you've handled, at least as far as I'm believing. She settles into her chair, just getting a bit more comfortable. Fortunately, this is the easiest of the three. At least, as far as I'm aware.
That's the easiest manner of obtaining this mask.
Well, I'm uncertain of where we would find another. Perhaps I've seen one, but I've probably forgotten. I don't particularly find it valuable to keep on hand. It's particularly frustrating when you walk into a room, see something, and then forget why you were in the room in the first place. But I suppose if you're looking to find something in an easier way, there may be Mercane. But given that the network is potentially liable to forget as well, it can be difficult. At best, wherever there's a rumor of people losing their memory, it's usually a good place to start. Personally, I found that the easiest way of handling a false hydra myself is to keep a good record of things. As soon as you observe one, you begin marking yourself, and you perhaps write the direction of where it is, on the off chance you need to look away, or you never look away from it until it is defeated. So keep in mind, it can burrow and go out of sight. Keeping an accurate combat log is all of the essence of fight.
No matter how difficult it is to actually execute during a combat.
Indeed. And, well, if you're truly so uneager to fight one, I suppose cutting off a head would be sufficient. So just beware of the others.
How precisely, other than, well, other than forgetting, I suppose, do we have any idea of what precisely these look like?
Cheryl sits for a moment as if ready to explain it to you. And she seems to just be paused for a moment. Damn it. I can't say I remember. Particularly frustrating. And images of it tend to be difficult to work with as well.
Are you saying that the magical properties of the creature even affect even the imagery of said creature?
That it would. It's been used in a couple of interesting spells over the generations I've seen. I think a particular one was when they had attached the image of the false Hydra to a ruler, and they had supplanted said ruler, and everyone seemingly had forgotten said ruler existed. Very, very interesting use.
This is all a bit confusing, but I suppose if we do have our business in the deeper sections of the fleet, then we'll keep an eye out. If we can find it. This, whatever this is.
Indeed. Well, as much as I am able
presumably
to.
it has a head. Perhaps several if it's a Hydra.
That it does. I can at least remember details, but not necessarily what it looks like. At least aware of heads and fleshy appearances, at least from what I can remember.
Sounds like another trip to the library for more than just one reason is a good idea.
Well, should the case that you need anything additional from the Weaver's resources, or myself in particular, I would entrust the aid to the Weaver's right-hand individual. And Cheryl turns towards someone else, one of the guards. Where would Nim be at this hour? And the guard just kind of like sits there, pauses for a second, and then shrugs. And she buries her face in her hands. Well, I suppose you'll have to come back at some point. I'll have to get you acquainted.
Well, there is one other thing I can think of.
Cheryl raises an eyebrow towards you.
Well, over the course of our previous adventure, we, I died, briefly, and it seems since coming back from that, it's been something of a change in my physiology that I can't quite account for.
Cheryl is going to cock her head and stand up, making her way over towards you, towering over you a good bit. You see a glint in her eyes. Yes, well, it seems you've heightened your awareness of things. At the very most, your people, the Wolf Wardens in particular, are unusual in their biology. You don't need to breathe, yet currently you are. In the case of devouring a star, as the Wolf Wardens have been wont to do in the very far past, it restores an aspect of conformity to standard biology. You may begin to breathe, your skin may change color perhaps to something a bit less grayish pink. Some individuals who would be wrong would call it coming to life, when in truth it's a different form of life. But as you develop these new traits with every star you potentially devour, you will gain abilities of sorts.
I see. I wasn't aware that I had devoured a star.
And so it seems you have. And she slowly turns her head towards Lyra. Up to antics, I see.
Sweat. I assure you that I had nothing. Well, no, I did have something to do with it, but it certainly wasn't. I can't. I don't understand what happened. It's as simple as that.
Well, I won't judge. After all, you know who I am. And she settles her way back towards her chair and crosses a leg.
Quite simply, Zuza had perished, and I attempted to revive her by placing at least some of the solar energy inside of me into her. There was no devouring, at least as far as I saw. It was simply just giving.
Cheryl is going to raise up a hand and is going to snap.
Oh.
And you are going to see a sort of copy of yourself and of Zuza. You're sort of ethereal looking. And at each of your cores is a bit of a little will-wisp, a sort of fire that is emanating at the center of your body. These are representations of your soul. As you look at Lyra's is a singular white burning flame, and what seems to be several tiny dotting flames all along Lyra's body. You are dense in terms of souls. For reasons I can't quite disclose to you, as per the Weaver's wishes.
But you know.
She exhales a bit sadly, and gives a bit of a look towards you. Personally, I think you're capable and responsible. But Weaver insists that it's more dangerous if you are aware. And, well, I can agree.
He already imposed that I can't say a word. And now you're telling me that he's just withheld information from me.
Well, it was an assumption, and that was his assumption. I personally like to believe that I know. And she leans back into her chair.
Lyra's pouting.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it's part of the terms of our agreement. I am beholden to the Weaver's wishes, so long as the Weaver provides me with something. But, should the Weaver deem you ready to have that discussion, I am certain he will deign to tell you. It's not as though he wishes for you to not know. He does so for your safety.
Well, if you're so concerned about our safety,
He does have a
Knowing-
fondness for you all.
but wouldn't knowing the truth help us better?
Trusty. Susan's a little too eager to hear this.
If it's for our safety, wouldn't it be better for us to know so that way we can avoid in the future?
She seems to have just a very kind of like expressionless face, as if she's pondering how she might explain it to you.
Because here's the thing. We have traveled across the galaxy for leads on exactly what's going on with myself, and you're telling me that somebody knows and they're not telling me, and that person, you say, has a fondness for me. That just doesn't seem fair. Fondness for us is what you said to be.
Cheryl is going to look up towards where the Weaver tends to reside within the ceiling, and just sits patient for a bit, as if waiting for a response, and then turns towards you. In your case, you are allowed 3 mistakes.
Three mistakes.
Uses. Depends on your use of the word.
What do you mean by mistakes? Was it a mistake asking that?
Well, suppose I were to say the words, I wish I weren't hungry right now. And suddenly I'm satisfied. I'm satiated. I would only be allowed to do that twice more. And after that, I would become a sort of husk of myself.
Oh.
I,
We do not
I
tell
see.
you because we are concerned for you.
I at least know that I cannot use that word.
At least using it with intention. It's peculiar. I'm personally not fond of the magic. I didn't make it, nor did I critique it, but such is the way that it is.
Such is the way that it is, of course.
I apologize. I believe I got off track. There was something else that was asked to me.
I do believe you were talking about the composition of the soul.
Ah, yes, very good. And she re-snaps the image of both Lyra and Zuza back into composition. And you turn towards Zuza, who now is showing her soul. And rather than a white flame, instead, you see a black void. It seems to be almost pulling everything in towards it. This, in particular, is a fragment of the wolf. Once awakened, it can devour entire stars. It can, if you are privy to utilizing its ability, just consume stars outright, as you are. Personally, I've not seen it done, though I've certainly been interested in attempting to. Such a thing is dangerous. And, at least in the case of yourself and your sibling, it would seem that neither of you are capable without attaining more of your strength, more of the wolf's strength. Know this, however. Continually absorbing stars is at great risk to yourself. You are not restoring your own strength, or your own life, as some individuals would put it. What you are doing is empowering the wolf. This empowers every individual who maintains the wolf, and only select few individuals are able to actually absorb stars. You are one of them. Your sibling, I imagine, is potentially another. Though, you may have not felt it. But anything that you do is affected to everyone. If you are seeking to innovate your foe, not that I am aware of how one such as yourself would consume the star entirely and use up all of its energy, but I would bid you be careful making any other decisions of absorbing stars.
I see.
A bit of a groaning can be heard into the distance, followed by the sickening crack of bone. It seems that I am needed. Well, I hope this has been enlightening for you all, and as I've said before, should you need any additional information, I shall have someone come and at least assist you in some time. Farewell for now. And she slowly begins to ascend a chair and lantern and all up towards the ceiling where the Weaver resides.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is where we will end our session tonight.
That's good.
I'm just gonna be here pouting. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you all had a good time on our faster paced but shorter adventure. We've got some things to take care of, each of us. And we will see you on our next adventure. Let's see who's around. Oh, so many individuals. You know who we're gonna go? I know exactly who we're gonna go visit. We're gonna go visit Blue Pixie, playing Baldur's Gate 3. Close enough to D&D. We'll see what Blue Pixie's up to. It looks like the start of a new game, and... Or no, that's a level up screen. Okay. It seems like a subathon. Okay, so that should be good. I will see you all on our next adventure. And as always, safe travels. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.